some familiar faces and some familiar names as well. But life kind of world is small, and I even, for some of you, I don't remember where we've met, but definitely I remember something about those names and those faces. Okay. First of all, yeah, I appreciate that you switch your cameras on whenever possible, because it helps me a lot. But if for some reason it's just you don't want to, then I'm fine either way. But I'm very happy that you do it. It's kind of helpful. Yeah. Okay. And the second, as we see, the second rule is turn your mics off when you're not talking. Good. Okay. Everyone's here. A couple of Latvian names as well. So what are you guys doing here? Or this is a program where you try to mix teams or something, Linda, right?
Yes, exactly. So we are right now kind of hoping to make this network of people that can potentially work together and
Good.
Meet each other, and then hopefully sometime we can meet in person as well.
Very good.
Definitely helps with networking.
Good. Okay. So good. Then we're good to go, right? First of all, technicalities of Zoom. I think you already have your Zoom natives, so I'm not repeating all the stuff how we can interact, because I would at some point I'd like you to take a bit part here. There will be a few questions. Spoiler. I mean. Quite well. I know this is the easiest way how to alienate any audience is asking you questions, because you came here to listen, right? Not to talk and think and answer questions. But I hope I won't bother you with those too much. So you can raise hand, right? In Zoom you can raise hand. You can also write in the chat. And there's a beautiful feature. You can write to someone directly, like me, for example, or you can write to everybody, and then everyone or everybody sees it. So I think all those things are understood. Okay. I would assume that we're all are on very different time zones, or am I wrong with that? Or we're all in the Eastern European summertime. I don't know. Okay. Anyways. I won't take too much time of yours. So yes, hello again. My name is Viesturs. I like to put it that way, for about this entire millennium, which means about 20 years, right? I'm involved in building businesses in one or other way. So I've built 7 companies myself. A few have sold, most of them have flopped. I've invested as a business angel, as direct investor. I also managed a very small boutique investment fund some time ago. Now I work, currently I don't have my own project. I don't have my own startup. I'm on sabbatical between the previous one and God only knows which is the next. I don't yet. And I basically on that, being on that sabbatical between startups, I'm helping other startups. I'm helping also just starting up businesses, not necessarily startups. We talk about the formal difference between those two. And I also work with corporates on building new products and services. Okay, and occasionally teach in some universities around Latvia. So this is me. Just already too much for me. Unfortunately, we don't have time to have intros with you. So let's do a kind of a very quick idea. So whom I'm talking to. So we can probably raise hands. It's the easiest way to do that. So who already has a certain idea you want to turn into a business? Just raise the hand. Okay, yeah, you can do that. Alina, that works well. That's a physical hand raising works. For those of you who have the camera is on. But there's no, okay, Said has, yes, I do know, I do know Said's projects, the companies. Raphael is there, and Raphael. Okay, not that many. So who of you just came here because it's seems to be cool, but I have no idea whether it would be useful for me or not. Anyone? This is okay. You won't be kicked out, I promise. At least I'm not going to kick you out, and maybe Linda will be.
Yeah,
I'm not going to kick
cool
you out.
to me, so I'm raising.
So anyone here is just for human curiosity? Like, really? Okay, Hades is here. He's kind of yeah. Okay, Vladimir is for that. Good, very good. And then I would assume that the others who are either not familiar with the hand-raising option in Zoom, or you just kind of want to be entrepreneurs, right? You would love to start something but don't know exactly what, right? Am I right with that? Who is that wannabe person here who kind of wants to pull something off, but is like, the billion euro dollar idea hasn't come yet? Okay, Jana is there. Good. Linda again, or you haven't raised haven't lowered the hand. Okay, good. All right. So anyone else? Yeah. Anyone else who doesn't fit in those categories? You can also effectively lower their hands. Remember that. Otherwise, Linda can lower it because she's the host. So okay. Okay. So all sorts of people here. Good. So this is more for the like this in the middle, because if you're already doing something in terms of commercializing some ideas, that you probably that silly advice I'm trying to give you is too late. If you don't if you know it will fit you or not, maybe early, as there's not much of inspiration going on here. But actually, I tried to share the screen. Okay, I would like to, Linda, give me co-host rights or something, because I can't share my screen, and you would suffer, not me, but you would suffer not be seeing my.
Is it working now?
Slides, eh? Oh yes, it is.
Perfect.
Good. So, do you see my screen? Do you see my slide? Okay.
Yes, I do. I hope the others.
Yes.
Yeah. If one does, then most of unless you have issues with your monitors, and it's supposed to everybody sees it. Okay. When Linda invited me, she actually doesn't know. That's a confession here. When Linda invited me to talk, and I asked what would be the desired topic, and she said that she'd be happy if I talk about entrepreneurship in general, and she doesn't know how happy I was, because I'm often, most of times, not always, but most of times I'm invited talking about particular things, about like business models, product market fit, all those things, which are super important. But there's a very smart crowd following me on next week's, and it will be covered. So I have the luxury of talking a little bit of kind of mindset thing, or philosophical aspect of becoming an entrepreneur. And this is, I think, this is the key I want to keep for this little presentation of this afternoon. So, and I kind of, this is also, it's all old-fashioned and banal, but I named this subtitling the presentation that few things I wish I know 20 years ago, because it's kind of, I know talking to your younger yourself is so cliche, but I think it's something that is pretty much could actually summarize what I'm trying to convey here. So it will be, again, for those of you who are here for after a very specific advice on your ideas on how you exactly build things, or how you incorporate all that stuff, that is coming later. Today I want to talk about the mindset, the conceptual things, how to tackle the state of mind of entrepreneur and how to become one, maybe, or not. Kind of, you can treat this as a warning as well. Okay, so I will start. I'd start with just a second. I'll try to look whether there is. Okay. I'll start with a question, like I promised you, the nasty part, the question. So you can write your answers. No wrong answers. All answers are correct. You can write your answers. You can speak up. You can raise hand and speak up. And I hope to somehow navigate and see who does what here. Just a sec. I'll probably open also your list. Okay. And here's the question. What do you think? What is an entrepreneur? On what, or who is she or he, or who's he not? How you define who's an entrepreneur? Any hands raised? Silly question, I know.
I have an answer.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to tell that an entrepreneur is someone who can find the demands of the people and make money through that and creating job for other people.
Good. Okay. Finding demand, fulfilling demand, and giving job to other people. Three characteristics. Okay. Like it. Any other ideas?
Jana writes here in the chat, she says it's someone solving an issue.
Yeah, someone solving something. Yeah, I also see that, Jana's post. Okay. Person, Pauline says, person who can make his ideas profitable. Okay, like that one. Yeah. Adding value. Good. Great. Okay. All good. There is and all of those are very correct in context and generally correct. Taking financial risk. Okay, the risk part gets in the picture. Okay, taking risks, responsibilities, hope and anticipation for a profit. Very good. Managing finances, it's Ali. Yes, okay, that's financial manager. Is a C, whatever. No, it's good. It is good. It's fine. All through. There is a definition which is about 50 years or so old, but it's probably my favorite definition. Who's entrepreneur? And there was this guy who's a rather famous guy. Maybe you even have heard of him, Howard Stevenson. He was teaching at Stanford School graduate school of management back in the 70s and 80s of the last century. And here's Stevenson's definition. You probably have come across it. He says that entrepreneurship involves pursuing opportunity without regard to the resources currently controlled. Right? You see already there are a few hints on the risk taking. There are a few hints on other things. And this is a big idea because some of you, as I was 20 years ago, we're coming from corporate contexts. We have been managers for bigger companies, established companies, and this is a very different strategizing approach. Because if you are in already mature company, in whatever managerial capacity or just working for that, the way you look at strategies is largely resource-based. So you pretty much have this much money, this much time, this many employees, right? And you want to get them, and then you go like, okay, because we have all those assets at our disposal, we will be we will be growing.
Hagamos esto. Tú puedes tenerlo más.
We will be growing. I don't know, 15% year on year. Okay, that is kind of a strategic approach. Oftentimes, mature companies, most of the times, mature companies take on things. Whereas if you are starting up, there is no, and then there's in a mature company case, there is a execution of a plan. When you starting up, the level of uncertainty about things, and of course we'll talk about there also very huge difference between different businesses and different types of businesses of that uncertainty, but still the level of uncertainty is so high that there is no plan to execute. There is more of iteration and more of experimentation going on initially, figuring things out, rather than moving in a straight direction. And this is maybe sometimes you have also this observation that some people who are very good and efficient managers are not necessarily good at starting up businesses, right? I have a couple of those friends around me. And the other way around, the people who are very good at starting up are not necessarily the best managers in the world. They may evolve into that, but not necessarily. And most of cases, they are not evolving that. So those are two different mindsets, which organically could grow one into other, but this is super important to understand. That for starting up, the experimental mindset of quickly figuring out things beats the efficient execution single-handed most of the times. Okay, so this is one thing. So there are a couple of takeaways as a result of that. So let's summarize. I will have 7 takeaways for today. So there's the first 2 are coming here. The first is that a new business, a startup for the matter, or any new business, is not a smaller copy of existing organization. Completely different rules of laws of physics apply there, or largely different. Second takeaway, starting up entrepreneur is not exactly a manager, or not only a manager. There's plenty of mindset characteristics which actually for efficient managers stand in the way of experimenting and iterating quickly and easily around finding a very good fit of your solution to whatever problem you're solving. And again, this rule has certain brackets, because in some cases it's rather your solutions to the problems are rather obvious, and in some cases they're not. But there is still lots of uncertainty in the starting up compared to continuing managing or running existing business operations. Okay, so those are two important things to keep in mind. This is about experimental mindset rather than a super efficient execution in the beginning. Okay, are you with me with that? At least I'm super happy that people kind of object me, by the way. I like those objections. So if you have completely different viewpoints, just fire away. I'm more than happy to have a little argument here, nice and constructive, obviously. Okay, let's move on. Let's move. I'm still not done with my silly questions. So what do you think is the main thing of any new business? The main thing, or probably the only thing you should actually, when you're starting, when you're really early starting up, the only thing that does not let you sleep at night, put it that way, or what is okay, is it right, solving existing problem in a better and more efficient way? Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that answer. Customers. Andrew says customers. Good. Yeah, customers never will let you sleep at night. Those nasty bastards. Huh? Good. Marketing. Okay. Good. You're how to put it, you're too complex, you're too sophisticated. Simple idea. Okay, Orhan said idea is the main thing. Beg to disagree, but we can talk separately on that. Ideas is kind of common stock. innovation, strategy, love for what you're doing. All's good, all's good. I wanted to get it to this simple, in my simple spirit. Yes, absolutely. Resources, no customer needs. I'm so happy that at least you interact with me on those, and those are all our correct answers, right? But there, I wanted to have a simpler thing. What is this? What the thing that is not allowing you to sleep at night, or I put it a different way, execution. Say, yeah, okay, capital, good. What's kind of a difference, dividing line between a success and failure in any business? That's super simple in my simple world, which with every year becomes simpler and simpler. To figure out working business model before you're running out of money. That bloody simple, pardon my swear. Okay, you have to figure out what works before you're done, before you're whatever is it, I don't know, 500 euros or 500,000 euros, but they end. Because if they're up, then you probably have to figure out other things in your life. Okay, right? There is this thing called how it was the enthusiasm, right? But it's kind of a, if car is out of the gas, then on a slope it still drives a bit, but then it stops. Okay, so you have to work out what's working before you're out of money. And what's the heck is the business model? I won't torture you with that one. The business model, in simple terms, there is academic definitions for the method, but in simple terms, the business model is the way the business is going to generate or is generating revenue, earning money. So not profit minded, but revenues. Because you actually can opt out not having profit early because to grow faster or something like that, right? So you have to figure out how your business is going to generate revenues before you, out of that money, you were able to dedicate for, or whomever was investing in you, dedicate for this little experiment. So this is actually a plain and a super simple, and it kind of sounds obvious. I know you some of you are listening. Come on, what kind of crap is that? That obviously that is, I have to make start my revenues going before I'm bankrupt, right? But this is a concept which actually has lots of implications on other ways how you think about it. So how you can do that? There are two ways, and this is the takeaway number 3. Depending on the type of business you're building, you either optimize for having paying customers day 2, okay? And some of you can do that, but some of you, depending on what type of business is this, and we'll touch upon that in a minute, you simply can't have paying customers tomorrow, right? So either you optimize for having customers early, or then you secure funding, you raise funding or whatever else is out there to secure so-called runway. That's a slang term, you know. No, now the runway is the how much time you have money left until you're out of money. Okay, you secure a certain runway to experiment, to build a product, to code, to solder, whatever is there. If you can't have paying customers quickly, okay. So this is a big idea, and this is also very important to understand that oftentimes you're strategically, it is justified starting pre-selling things which you don't have yet, provided that you will be having them, right? This is all about iteration and against, perfectionism in some sense, because you have to get that going. You have to figure out how you monetize the usage, whatever, or whatever you're doing, you can think of lots of products and services, simple ones and sophisticated ones. The principle stays the same. You have to try to understand how you monetize that, what you're doing quickly, or if it is inevitably impossible, like with many projects which involve either development or some heavy construction or whatever like is between you and paying customers. Then you have to try securing some funding. Okay, but if you can have lots of products or services, in theory, you can have your paying customers super early, right? If I'm, for example, rendering the service of teaching people, I can do my little gig now and hopefully get paid. So you're actually very close to your market, okay? And you can go without raising money. So raising money is nothing fancy. Raising money is not necessary evil. Okay, good. Are you with me on this one? That's the takeaway number 3. Perfect. Move on. Let's move on. Okay. I want to, at this point, let's talk about the fact, which also you probably intuitively have sensed, that not all entrepreneurship, not all businesses is born equal. Yes, of course, you would say there's services and products and B2B and B2C and whatnot, but there is a super important distinction, which kind of summarizes a little bit what I was trying to say before. There are 2 types of businesses which are very different in many respects. And this is so-called linear businesses or linear business models and scalable business models. And here's just a simple explanation what my ugly graphs mean here. Let's think of this blue line as some kind of a net profit or something, okay? So there is one type of business which is on like purely fully linear business where it has 2 characteristics, and they actually most of the time are tied together and come together. So the first feature of the linear business or linear business model is that you can have your paying customers quickly, very soon, right? See that net profit line starts climbing from the like 0.0 almost. And which means that you're close to the market with your product service. If you bake world's best cinnamon buns that you just make your all the dough and cinnamon and make a fire in your oven and bake those buns and pretty much you can sell them tomorrow, right? You're very close to the market in a sense. But the second thing, and the second characteristic, super important characteristics of the linear business model is that with every item sale, and whatever the item is, that could be unit, pound, or hour, or day, with every unit you sell, there are always a fair, a very decent and seeable kind of amount of direct or production cost or manufacturing cost or variable cost is sometimes for those who are financiers here, you know, right? If you, in my silly example of the cinnamon buns, the more cinnamon buns you bake, the more you need, you know, the ingredients and heat from your oven and everything. So the cost is associated with every piece you're making or selling. And if you would know that there won't be people buying 1,000, but just 100 tomorrow, you won't incur the cost, right? Because it's kind of variable. It varies depending on how much you're doing something. So those are 2, which implies that the linear businesses can't explode. Even if you're baking the world's best cinnamon buns, you can't be 1,000 times bigger next month, right? You can be 100 times or 50 times bigger, but this cost associated with every time you make something or more precisely sell something, it's kind of holding you back, right? You can't explode, you can't spread like a virus. How stupid comparison, right? Good. Now that's the concept of linear business model. Now the very opposite of this is the scalable business model, which has again two characteristics which are completely opposite, and they also come in a pair together most of times. First characteristics, you by definition can't have paying customers tomorrow, and this is because you have to develop something, to build something, right? To solder, to code, to write the software code, to design something, etc., etc. There is a certain period in time which will be just expense and not income by definition. And that's why you see my blue line is going down below the zero. So you're having negative profits, you're having losses inevitably in the very beginning. But the second characteristics is that what could possibly, at least theoretically, make those businesses explode and grow very fast. And this is the concept of scalability. Now you're clever if you didn't know that. The scalability is the feature where with each sale of the item, with each item sale, you're incurring no or unnoticeable variable cost. There is no cost associated with next sale. For example, if you make a computer game, you spend lots of time designing the game and coding the game, but then if there are, you know, 100 people downloading it for a price, or 100,000 people downloading it a day, is literally very little difference in expense part, right? Of course, there is customer service, indeed, bigger server capacity. Yeah, that is true. But all in all, there is no variable cost there, right? And that is the reason why the scalable business models can explode. If you're making something super like hitting a bullseye, you can be 1,000 times, theoretically 1,000 times bigger next month, right? And this is a kind of important thing, and why it's important. It's not a kind of theoretical concept. The biggest importance in this difference is because it determines many things. The risk levels starting linear businesses are there. Every starting up is risky, right? But the risk levels are much smaller because you're closer to the market, right? You can sell your product or service and quickly get the feedback and improve, right, on a product and service. Whereas if you are far away from the market, it may take lots of trial and error, lots of iterations to get to the solution which someone would pay for, okay? I think it's kind of common sense here. Now, so this building business is risky, but building linear businesses is much less risky than building scalable business. This is also regarding funding, right? Building linear business, you might not need external funding at all, or not external investment, but only maybe loans may do and some smaller things. Building scalable, truly scalable businesses, inevitably you will have to raise external investment money, because why not loan? Because who would be the idiot to lend you if that's risky, right? And that's another way to see it, because maybe this, you know, on the risk side, you know, the linear businesses that succeed every second time. Just don't get me by that number. I'm just visualizing, and those are the ones who succeed in every one of 20 or one of 10 or whatever is there, right? So the risks are incomparably bigger there. Then and also the team, how you build a team. When you're starting linear businesses, you'll be okay alone and your employees. If you start initially, if you have you don't need co-founders, you need a team. You don't need, there is both emotionally and also competence-wise easier to, most probably you possess those competencies which can allow you to pull off this linear business, but not the scalable one. Okay, then you need lots of competencies immediately, meaning you can't buy them on the market, meaning those are called co-founders. See, there are lots of ramifications, lots of implications of how it is. The one other thing, concluding on this topic, that don't think this is binary. Think this as kind of a ruler, and on both ends are those two, and everything, you know, the real thing is in between. And you can move. You can start with a bakery, which is very linear, and then there's a chain of bakeries, which is a little bit more scalable, right? Because there are cost economies. And then there is a franchise, which is much scalable, more scalable. Would you agree, right? Because you're just taking money for teaching someone else how to do that. And then there is maybe platform. You're not doing anything yourself, but just matching the buyers and the sellers. There's a super scalable business models. The platforms are, right? The same goes for hardware product. You can start with your little craftsmanship at home, and then you build bigger and bigger, and then finally you can maybe, I don't know, outsource thing and make it very kind of, in a end of the day, very, very efficient and scalable in a sense. You may be doing just the final touch on something. You can apply it to the bigger scale, the real know-how you have within a manufacturer. Or the software goes also both ways. If you're developing a software for someone else, like a contract developer, you're relatively low. If you're building your own product, which is, for example, subscription business models, like subscribable software, you're very high. And then anything in between, that you, for example, building white label products, which still are kind of subscribable, but in kind of at your partners, you know, in your partner's domain and everything. So, and this is a very important takeaway here. I want to, because I also had to watch my time, which is running. But takeaway number 4, and this is super important, actually, good news for every one of you, whatever you business idea you may have, that yes, your product and your monetization model defines your scalability. However, this could be moved along this ruler in one or other direction based on your risk tolerance. Because, for example, maybe you're happy starting with a service which is potentially less risky and can yield you paying customers early, and then build based on that experience, build a product, you know, automated product out of that service. So you can move also in time, like move into excuse me, that is my doorbell, but I'm not expecting anyone, so I hope that will stop. There is, it doesn't. Would you excuse me? I just pick it up. This is something unexpected, and hopefully nothing wrong.
It's all right. We can make like a small discussion.
Yeah, you can make a small discussion. Absolutely.
I'll ask the question to the audience. Do you guys think that any business can be scalable, or there may be things that are meant to stay linear for entire business life? Maybe someone has like an example or their own experience. I asked the question. Viesturs, did you solve your situation?
Yeah, all good. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Life happens every day. I was asking a question because it was like an inquiry, a question of mine, but I asked the others if any business can be scalable, or there are businesses that are meant to stay linear for rest of their business life. Good
question. And actually there are a couple of also comments here. I can quickly touch upon those. There are certain limitations to the scalability, of course, because inevitably no hardware, if it involves manufacturing, if it's not a licensing of, you know, some kind of a know-how which helps other manufacturers, then it's kind of scalable. But all hardware, it never reaches the further right hand side in a scalability, because as we can imagine, with every physical product you're making, there are manufacturing costs involved. Yeah, but it's still to a certain degree it can move along further forth and back to like I would say, for again, this is not drawn to the scale, but there is, I would say, for a good half of this ruler, there is a possibility to the business model to be moved. Like I was trying to explain that, for example, the linear okay, Rahul, couple of notes from Rahul. I quickly touch upon those. So linear businesses, first of all, examples of linear businesses are really the products or services that are rendered immediately, and they're not so. For example, my talking with you is very linear now, because I can't have a gig, I can't have a workshop anywhere else. I can't, multiply myself, but but also I'm having, customers or users or listeners immediately, right? This is, for example, me now is very, very linear. How I can scale myself? Well, I can maybe teach a dozen people the same, and they will go and do it like in parallel in dozen groups, or I can hold a online session by inviting 1,000 people, and if I can charge, I don't know, 10 euros from each of them, I can make 10,000 K. It's already scales. Or ultimately, as the service, I can scale in pre-recording my making, the series of workshops and trying to sell them, trying to commercialize them, and then I'm just not doing anything. I'm just sitting back and having my beer, and money keeps rolling in because the people like buy my workshop. This is a simplified version, but I hope you got the idea.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely, Orhan.
About linear line, I'm thinking, like, when you are saying that you are now talking to us, giving lecture, but this is not like just you started from zero and you are just suddenly telling us something. You have invested on yourself long years, yes?
Yes,
How many years?
Of course.
You spend the time, maybe, I don't know, you read the books, you bought them, you paid for education. It's like there is a cost of what you are doing at the moment. So it's not like you are just starting and earning.
This is a great point. But this is an opportunity cost. If I would be, I could also have all that experience, but and not talk to people, right? So I didn't earn all my experience for this reason. I did it because I just did other things. This is a side. That's a side product. I'm sharing with you. That's a side product. To put it that way.
I understand. That's why linear line, like type of business model, is not like, I don't know why I don't have any example.
No, linear. No, I see what you're saying. The linear could be that you can really do from scratch, right? You can, and as a linear business, you can be a I don't know, courier delivering things on bicycle, but that's still, yeah. But Orhan, still, I can argue you have to learn to ride the bike in the first place. Yeah. And you're not born with that one, right? You at some point early in your life, most probably you learned how to ride the bike. So I would say this is a nice way to have that discussion. But I hope that most of you got the conceptual idea of, because we're talking not acquiring skills, which always is time, right? And experience and expertise. We're talking about the potentiality of application of whatever you have now. And then you can distinguish being close to market or far from market. Because even if you have certain skills, but you have to develop, a piece of a hardware or a piece of a software, it's not about your skills. It's about doing that work which is still there, or you have to build a place or whatever is there. Yeah, okay, I know how much time is it, Linda. Rahul, so there was the thing is that the difference between B2B and B2C is not that much actually in terms of scalability. They could be very poorly scalable B2B businesses like services. Like, for example, I'm doing innovation boot camps with a large company. It's not scalable very well, right? But and there could be also very super scalable B2C things. So I think this is not exactly the nomination of the scalability. And the linear business examples, there are plenty of those. I mean, everything like a bakery is a linear business while it's just one bakery, right? And my examples of services are super linear. Any other question? I think Rahul has something more, and then we can move on quickly. I know we're a little bit over time, but I was also said that there are questions possible, so I'm very happy to. I have time actually myself. I can.
Thank you. I'll just keep it short then. So I was thinking the whole discussion between the scalable and linear could be solved if the point, so like the point where 0 is considered from the point when you start selling, rather than everything done before that. So for some businesses, when you start selling, it takes a while to make it profitable. But for others, like you were saying, like a bakery, when you started itself, you can expect profit from the beginning. So I was thinking, if you think about it that way.
Selling, I would slightly disagree. It's not about selling, it is about building that specific thing. So it's you may not start if you develop a software, a game, for example, or whatever. It's not about selling. You most likely you will start working on that, not just getting experience as a coder, but starting to work on the product way earlier than you would start to even, sneak peek and pre-show it somewhere or things like that. But yeah, you're pretty good at the point. But let's move on. I'm super happy that we have time and you have time. I'm good to keep another hour for questions. More than happy. I'm delighted actually. Okay, risk tolerance. Quick one. A last risk tolerance. Exactly. That is, some people are okay taking risks where the ability to not make it is about half, right? It's 50-50, like the old saying goes. And some people are perfectly okay doing things which they understand will most probably be successful in a. The odds are completely against it. If you're building a next Facebook, odds are against you. The most probably is a chance 1 of 50, or I don't know, whatever is there, right? That you build something that beats whatever is there, right? And all the scalable. Now this is the thing regarding the tolerance, and yes, the tolerance is the attitude, of course, towards failing, because there are also cultural thing, and I think you can relate it to your home cultures or your initial cultures. Some cultures are very okay with failures, and some cultures are not okay with failures. It's stigmatizing, right? Japan is the in my experience, I've done business in Japan quite a lot. That's a terrible example, because actually you're stigmatized for the rest of your life if you fail anything, whatever is there. And that's why there's no startups in Japan, or literally no startups in Japan, because of that reason. Can business be both linear and scalable at the same time? It can be both. It can have 2 revenue streams. I can answer Agua with that one. It can have 2 revenue streams, and this is obviously the business itself is the most scalable is the most scalable, then the better. I'll give you an example. The business can have 2 revenue streams. One is selling hardware, and the other is selling subscriptions to use of that hardware, right? Selling hardware is not scalable. Selling subscriptions is way more scalable. So in theory, yes, the different revenue streams could be of different scalability. Okay. Can I move a bit on? Okay. So once again, so finalizing this one, you can move somewhere, if you wish to build more scalable, more potentially bigger upside business, or you just want to start on a lower risk. So let's then talk about a little bit about an ambition part. So what do you think you can tolerate and what you can't? I've developed it kind of myself. There are 3-question rule. You ask those 3 questions to yourselves to kind of frame or kind of align your ambition. So the first question is, are you willing to create value someone is going to pay you money for? I hope that all of you who are wannabe entrepreneurs, the answer is affirmative. The answer is yes. Because if not, then this is not a commercial context, right? That's scientific context, I don't know, other fine arts or whatever is there, where of course money is involved, but this is not a primary, the exchange point is not a primary element of the activity. If you have answered to the first question, yes, then ask you the second question. Are you willing to build a business that has a value outside of you? A big idea. And this is perfectly okay having both yes and no answers to that. Because maybe you want to build a business which is just extension of you, right? Which is you, and you fund your lifestyle, and that's fine. But maybe you have ambition of building a business that is potentially you can exit, right? Not all businesses are exitable at the price. at leaving it and closing the door, shutting the door, everything is exitable, but not at the price. So there is perfect, both are fine answers, yes and no. So this is different level of framing your ambition. And if you have answered the third question with yes, if you have answered the second question with yes, so are you think of building something that has a value outside of you, of your context only, then you can ask yourself a third question: Are you want to conquer the world? Are you willing to build a market domination? Are you want to be a market leader, maybe in a very niche product or vertical, but one of those 2 names everybody has? You know, if I say electrical cars, you think Tesla, right? Or maybe some few Volkswagen for the matter, or Nissan Leaf or whatever. If I say smartphone, you think like what? iPhone, Samsung. That's pretty much it. And then you're out of brand names, like 2-3 names. Are you in that particular area what you're interested in building a business? Do you want to be something like that? That is completely hell a lot of ambition. And again, the answer might be no, I'm fine. I'm just building something that has a value, that has some kind of a price tag, or the answer could be yes. And what's the idea then? Congratulations, you have framed your ambition. You're either funding a lifestyle, right? This is called family or lifestyle business for the reason, because if it's and it could be very profitable. I'm not talking about peanuts, and whatnot here. The lifestyle business could be very profitable. Maybe, selling your financial services is super profitable. It's still a lifestyle business, because the denominator is that it ends when you decide to end it, or then you pass on to your relatives, which is fine. And they're depending on them and the business, they're either very happy or not that happy at all, right? I believe that you also have the family histories that your ancestors give you businesses that you're not super excited. You would like to have a hard cash, but that's a business you have to take care of, right? Now, and this is the idea that you're funding a lifestyle and you're a lifestyle entrepreneur. It's perfectly okay. It could be very, very, very profitable, but it's not exactly a something tradable. Because if you will stop it, or anyone else in your family will stop it, it's done. Unless, of course, except of the assets you can sell, machinery or some goods or whatever in your inventory. But as a going concern, as a business, it has not much value if you're not part of it. That's a big idea, actually. If you want to be very central, then you're just making your lifestyle business, and that most probably won't have value outside of you. And then if the answer to the second question was yes, then you're building a tradable business. It's sellable is not a good word. The tradable, I will change it to the send over deck. Meaning that you're, and in theory, you can exit or you can attract investment, not a loan, but investment. You can talk about return on investment, and that nothing of that may happen in a lifestyle business because you're too central to it, right? And you're building a tradable business, a business which is in theory has a price tag for investment, for valuation, so that for sale, maybe at some point without you being involved. And if you're building, if this third question is answered with yes, then you're building a global business. And what is the biggest takeaway from here? All those ambitions are perfectly fine. There is no shame of building a great lifestyle, a family business, as opposed to building the next Facebook or Tesla, whatever it is there. But just be aware what you're building and tailor your actions, because indeed the different goals need different approach, and they also need different tools, right? In order to climb a small mountain, you need certain tools. In order to climb Everest, you need slightly different tools. It's just about understanding what you're building. Are you building are you funding your lifestyle, or are you building a next world domination in some kind of a niche? That's kind of important in my experience. That's why it's a takeaway. Let's talk about another aspect, and then I'm done, Linda. Then I'm done. I'm so sorry that.
No, it's all good with me. I was kind of like taking care
if you're people keep coming. The funny part is we started about 18, now we're 28. So I'm humbly hoping that it is maybe resonates with some of you. Okay. Now, another thing I want to talk about. Why you're doing that, or why you want to do that. Big idea. Remember, there was a ambition part. There was the business kind of type of business you're building. There's also in a concert with that comes your motivations. And there are lots of motivations. Some of them are productive and some of them are less productive. I'm really excluding the very least productive motivations, like showing somebody something or whatever is that there, right? I'm not considering them being productive in the long run, but there are 4 types of motivations which drive you most of times. Either you're primarily driven by need, and that's okay. You need something, it's not only monetary need, the kind of need of self-realization is also a need, right? You're driven by need, or you're driven by skill, meaning that you know something, you can do something better than the others can, and then you want to monetize it. The discussion we had with Orhan, there is certain skill set you can probably monetize and how that relates, right? You can be driven by skill in starting up, you can be driven by need, or you can be driven by chance. It's perfectly okay being opportunistic. You see the opportunity, and you seize the opportunity. There is an opportunity that, there is a regulation, or there is a market trend, or everyone likes fidget spinners, or next thing, whatever is there, right? There is an opportunistic approaches it's a fair and undeniably important driver, very important motivation. And the 4th type of motivation is a vision. You might be driven by vision, and it could be also not only vision to change or make the world a better place. It could be vision earning lots of money, and because that's not a need. Let's be honest. Lots of money is need, but lots of money is not a need. Okay, let's make it clear here. You have a dream to earn money and then give it for causes, like, right? You will earn $1 billion and then have this 98% pledge and give it to orphanages. Okay, I'm simplifying and stupidizing that, but you see what I'm trying to say here. So those are the four as I've identified, the 4 major. There's not exclusive list, but the 4 major areas of what drives people starting businesses. The thing is, and the important thing is, that is very rare. It's more like this. This is super few situations where there is a one pronounced motivation. Most of you guys, if you think of starting, you have kind of a overlapping, kind of a complex motivation to do that. And here's the lesson, and here's the trick. Some of those motivations just reflect and align your ambition and the way you perceive your risks and upsides with the motivations, because some of the motivations inevitably are kind of more short-lived than the others, because the needs are relatively short-lived. If you're doing okay, most of the times you're satisfying whatever the needs were in the first place. Skills are also to an extent limiting, because if if only the skill and the aptitude and the thing you like doing something drives you, it's also very restricting. It's difficult, to grow out of the skill yourselves and to embrace maybe other opportunities that business offers. Chances are also short-lived, because typically, market inefficiencies are quickly filled up with the opportunists like you. And then that's pretty much it. Oftentimes makes it difficult, if not impossible, to carry on. And the dream is a cool thing, but dreams can initially be too abstract to start it off properly. So it's better it's coupled with some other motivations of those other domains. Okay, so my number 6 out of 7 takeaway here is that just understand what drives you and align your ambitions accordingly. Understand what drives, and those are also evolving. It may start with a need and end up with a dream. I'm not saying that this is not a possibility, but just kind of try to think complex. What drives you, what you want to build, what kind of mountain you want to climb, and what are the toolkits you need for that. Okay. And the last thing, I'm super apologetic for a very readability of the next slide, but I want you to spend just a minute. It's about a minute, or maybe let's take a minute and 10 seconds to read the text. That's a quote which is super dear to my heart. It's not particularly inspiring, but it's a good quote. I hope you can read. Okay, I kind of sense that this is about it. You read it. To those who wanted, did read it. Okay. So why I brought this up? It's kind of I don't know what that guy is, who that guy is. That Chris Dixon, no idea. But I found it some time ago. This quote, and I think that is a big. Apologies for not being very inspirational, but I think it's kind of a thing when I'm across doing all sorts of programs like this. I've come across the idea that many, beginner programs tend to paint this journey of being entrepreneur as, all, flowers, flower beds and unicorns pooping, rainbows and whatnot. It is not, and it is hard. It gets really harsh at times. And again, depending what risks you're taking and what path you figured there's there. And my probably most valuable lesson out of those 20 years is the following: that this is really might get difficult, will most likely definitely take longer to make it up and running as you think, even if you're think you're super prudent, you think it will be 2 years, it will be 4 years, you think it will be 3 years, it will be 7 years. It is oftentimes emotionally very hard, because there are lots of situations where there is a fair chance you're stepping on people's toes, and you you should be kind of keep being human at those times. And there is, at the end of the day, again, depending on the risks and on the business model and whatever is that what you're building, there is definitely not a guaranteed success. There is a fair chance of success in some cases, there is a tiny chance of success, but there's no 100% of chance. So the biggest takeaway I've learned is that if you face the reality, if you understand how it works, and most importantly, if you enjoy the process, not only result, then it's worth it. Then you can enjoy it regardless of whatever is there, right? And this kind of creates a mindset, in my experience with me and a couple of people I've observing, it makes you just a better person in the end. So that's it for me for today. I really do hope that you're ready to go for the wannabes. And this is my message to the wannabes, because you won't be more ready than you're ready today. This is another thing to understand, and good luck if you decide to take this onto this journey. Thank you so much.
Do we have maybe some questions, some comments? Someone who wants to maybe ask an advice? I see Rahul raise his hand.
Yeah, Rahul, go ahead.
Just one question. I was actually looking through books to read about entrepreneurship and marketing and sales and all those, and I've been just going through articles so far, and I was hoping if you could give an advice about some books which might be worth reading.
Books? Okay, I think it really does depend what kind of business you're building, right? If you're building a startup type of a business, because most of the books written are, at least lately, maybe, okay, there was, thank you so much for kind words, some of you posting here, but I think lately most of the body of printed works is around starting up a startup, and a startup is that scalable. I didn't mention, actually, I promised you there one over promise from my side. So speaking terminologically, new linear businesses are not startups. Startup implies certain scalability in a business model. And most of the books currently are written about startups, about how to build next scalable business, not next bakery. There's very few books on building bakeries. There are plenty of books building next Facebooks, right? And in that sense, that is, I would say, you should be very careful with the idea of what kind of business you're building, and then look accordingly. That advice. But for the startup books, I would say there are plenty of inspirational part. I won't touch upon those. I think this is also a little bit of changes. There is some popular now and used to be popular. He wants to figure out really how, right? Okay, if that's okay with you. The key thing for building something very risky, like those scalable things and all or nothing things, is minimize risk. Still, the main aim of starting up is minimizing the risks, right? And the more riskier it is, the more this is of importance to minimize the risks to the level you can tolerate. And the critical thing of minimizing the risks, if we look and generally, is actually the idea of testing your solution quickly and cheap. So maybe not building something, but showing, a drawing to someone to ask whether that's okay. Are the button? I'm simplifying the idea, but are the buttons the right size, or should it be done from the left to the right or right to the whatever? Doing the UX part, then starting to maybe mock up, if you build a software piece of it, an app, then you do a kind of a clickable prototype, and that only then you start building. So the big idea is that you're not building on your idea, but you're building on evidence. Of course, you have the vision, you have the idea of your product, but the devil's in detail, as they say, and those details should be quickly tested with potential users. I'm very simple. This actually is a topic, so I don't want to actually spoil it, because this is exactly what your guys, as far as I understand, are going to do over the next 10 or so weeks. So okay, let's leave the specific advice to those people, bright people. Some of them are my students actually, who will come after me. But not this is not the point. So I would say, if you want to get the better understanding how to minimize the risks, how to become, how to increase the odds of being successful, then the type of literature I would strongly advise to all of you is everything which has been done on product market fit, finding product market fit. That's a keyword you can use. And that is all things of business modeling things. There is all things of testing business ideas, customer development concepts, lean startup concepts. All that thing is built and centered around the idea how to minimize the risks in those products or services which are not close to the market, right? Which need some time to build. So you can build on evidence what they need, not just what you think they need, right? So this is a very superficial answer, but I truly hope there will be more suggestions of literature for the topics, okay? And I would quickly, there's a couple of questions, I think. Thank you. Okay. Someone asks my email. The easiest way, invite me on LinkedIn, and we can start communicating. I'm super happy to keep in touch with you guys if you find it useful. Remember the LinkedIn etiquette. You just write, not only invite me, but write the one sentence. I was on the Talent Garden, workshop or something, because believe me or not, there are plenty of bots trying to get befriend me or something, and I don't. If I won't recognize you immediately, there is a chance I am not approving that thing. I have I'm on LinkedIn. I'm keeping my social media profiles are low. I'm LinkedIn person. I'm not the Facebook person. That's answer to Said. Okay. Thank you. Oh wow, there is something that is I don't believe. I know that you just Agwar is. Am I pronouncing your name right? You wrote that such a compliment. I think you're just a very nice person. I don't believe that this was worth of 4 years of study. But okay, it's thank you. You brightened my day. There's a question of Nostaran. For the beginning entrepreneur, what business you suggest first? Wow, that is a impossible question, to be honest. That really depends on what kind of skills, remember, you have, and what kind of dreams you have. So start what drives you, and then you figure out what business you're going to build. It's really linked. It's not it's nothing esoteric. It's a real thing. I mean, if you understand why you're doing that, then you understand what you're going to do. That's kind of works that way. I mean, it is very. It really depends what kind of skill sets you have, and what kind of ambitions and visions you have for something. Yep. Thank you, Agwar. Yep. Anything else, or Linda tries to push us back home. Good.
Just sent you a request on LinkedIn.
Thank you. I will look in a minute. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys. It was actually a pleasure, an honor, and thank you, Linda, for the opportunity for me to talk a little bit of my favorite philosophical topics. Not again about doing customer interviews. I can do that part, but believe me, the guys who will talk to you will be perfect on that as well. So yeah. Good. Perfect.
Okay, well,
I didn't kill my curiosity. How the hell you ended up in a Latvian program? Because it's a mystery to me. Okay, a couple of you are already here. That's what I know. You're at least in Riga, but some of you definitely are not, right? Anyways, but let's leave it. I won't spare that time talking, but it's mysterious. You have to have some connection to Latvia, or possible connection, but okay. Thank you for being such a great audience, and good luck with the program. Talk to the other guys. Have a great afternoon, night, morning, whatever you have at your place.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Okay, well then, thank you so much everyone for joining today and spending this time with us. I know all of you have places to go and people to be with right now. I'm really thankful to all of you, and I hope to see you in a week on April 15th. It's another Thursday, 5 p.m. We're going to talk about product development with Ernest Stahls, and I really hope and expect it to be as interesting and as useful as was the session today. Viesturs, thank you so very much. I have my paper full of notes, and I have pointed out the most important things and all your takeaways, which I will be sending to all of you.
But like I was promising, in literally a few minutes from now, Linda will have my slide deck in her email, which means that in some way you'll be having my slide deck soon if she knows how to reach out to you. So make sure she knows, because I will be sending it to her, like literally in 2 minutes. All right. Have a great evening. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And if there's someone who hasn't registered yet, you can still send me your contact information so we can start creating those certificates of attendance. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night, and I'll see you all in a week.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Linda.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.